Welcome back to What No One Told Us, a space for real conversations about the stuff we are all feeling, but not always saying. In this episode, Lloyd and Diego ask the question most of us skip past. How are you really, mate? What follows is an honest, grounded chat about connection, vulnerability, and the moments that actually matter, once the beers and banter fall away. This is part one of a two-part conversation. Let's get into it.
Buenas noches, Diego.
Buenas noches.
Live from Spain. Wow,
Wow,
how cool.
it is. If you start digging in your backyard, you will get here. We are on the other side of the world, exactly on the.
How long will it
And
take me to dig to Spain, do you think?
not sure how.
I have one shovel and um, as much energy as I can muster to get there.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
good to see you again.
yeah, yeah. I'm very happy to be coming from here and connecting to New Zealand while I'm far away. I wanted to see how it looks like from here.
Yeah,
And
me too. Me too.
yeah, it's a completely different lifestyle here. But it's not like completely different, but it's very different. It's a big city, it's different food, different language, different rhythm, um, different awareness I found as well. Like, I don't know, in the amount of people that I met, and maybe it's a different circle that I am there in New Zealand or something. So there was a lot of adapting and a lot of curiosity and a lot of looking. And while, trying to stay in my lane and trying, it's not always this way, but yeah.
You're the second person that said to me that it's funny because a mate of mine just got back from Spain, and the first thing he said when I saw him was over there. He's a Kiwi. Over there, people live. He said, they
Mhm.
live in terms of a different way of living, I guess, compared to what he's experienced here in New Zealand. He said they stop, they eat, they laugh, they laugh loud, they stay up late. They're
I
comfortable
I've
sitting
been
around.
having
They're comfortable sitting around with hours and nothing to rush off to, and it doesn't seem to be about squeezing so much productivity into every crack of every minute of every day. It's more about like being in the day. And
Mhm.
um, I found this fascinating because for two reasons. I thought it was a very interesting topic, um, particularly following on from our last conversation about, productivity and keeping our glass and our level of glass in balance, and how we can often push and upset that equilibrium. And the contrast from the life in Spain is it doesn't seem to be this issue so much. Like uh it's a non-issue almost because people are just more comfortable with taking things slower. Um and the second thing why that was interesting for me was because I'm very aware that you are there in Spain, in Barcelona. Is that right, Barcelona at the moment?
Yeah, yes.
And you're literally living this contrast right now. And I know that you know what it's like in New Zealand. So, what's it like over there? What are you noticing that feels wildly different to back here in New Zealand?
Well, I'm staying with my my first mate. This guy was with me in kindy, and we've done primary school, secondary school. We started uni, and then we sort of separated when I migrated to New Zealand, and he migrated to the other side of the world. So we didn't see each other for a while. Even we are in contact, but and now I'm here living with him and his family, which I know them very well, but you're living with them now. And yeah, just how does it sound like having dinner at 10 every day, finishing around 11:30 something, going to bed at midnight, waking up around 9, 8:30. My mate goes to work around 10, comes back for lunch for an hour and something, and then goes again to work from 4 to 7 or something. There's always obviously it depends on how much you can afford, but there's always someone here. There's always a bar or a table with people stop and buy one glass of beer or coffee just to talk. There's heaps of bars and people who stop to talk. You meet with someone and you're sharing something and you sit and talk. It's like in New Zealand having a coffee, but here is every day at any time.
Right.
Uh, so
And are you
yeah.
always meeting somebody, or are you going there?
Oh well, even with my mate walking around the city, says, let's stop here. Boom. It's time to sit, as you said, sit and have something. And then oh, this mid-morning, okay, then there's the lunch, okay, and then there's another little bar that is nice. Okay, let's stop here. And there's always like that type of um action. It's always, let's grab something and share it. So, but it's also what big cities bring, all right? It's not probably it's not only in Barcelona. I experienced that also in some way in Buenos Aires, where I'm from. Um, what I what is a slightly different for me is, yes, that rhythm in New Zealand, but the nature of obviously of the city as well and how we relate to each other seems to be slightly different. Um, I know people they catch up every day or they stop for coffee, but what I'm saying is when you see a big volume of population doing that, it's different.
Yeah. And how have you what have you, so I'm hearing like what my friend was talking about is it seems to be a thing, right? Like you can testify that the life in Spain is different to here. You get up later, you go to work later, you come home for lunch, you go back to work for a few hours, and then you're home again, and or you're in a bar socializing.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
more there's more emphasis on slowly, you know, socially. Do you feel like you've integrated into that lifestyle pretty
mm,
pretty intentionally? Or how's that experience been for you?
I know how to do it, and there's also obviously some of the stops in bars they include alcohol. This is something I want to bring to this conversation is that the way people drink here and what alcohol means to this. And alcohol, I'm generalizing, it's not always the case, but what I'm saying is that alcohol here, you socialize with a caña that is a little bit of just a beer or two, you have your conversation and then you leave. But the beer wasn't drinking beer, was just something to share, and then you leave. You're not drinking to get drunk. You- You're not drinking to get out of yourself. It's just a sharing moment. obviously coffees and things like that are big as well, but the little beer, the little glass of wine, the little sort of shot of something. Um, it's a social thing. It's not to get drunk. And I experienced that in Buenos Aires. As long, unless you are a teenager and you want to get drunk and whatever, but there's no that idea of binge drinking or beer after beer after beer after beer, or it doesn't go like that. I think the timing for drinking is different. It's slower and it's a bit more intentional. And that's what I'm experiencing.
Mm.
I wasn't drinking and I'm not drinking much. But here, well, somebody said, "Oh, why not gonna have a little beer?" With a little, okay, cool. Because I know there's not gonna come like four more, or it's not like a drinking session. It's just a conversation.
And how does that compare to what you've noticed in New Zealand?
In New Zealand, I always been surprised on. I think the conversation here goes first,
Mm,
and the bit
okay.
is sick. I believe on, and I might be wrong. I apologize if but this is my perception. I believe sometimes the beer goes first,
Hmm, hmm.
and then maybe a conversation.
Mm, yep. Okay.
Yeah. Don't know if it makes sense.
It does. So
Yeah,
in Spain and Barcelona, you feel that there could be more emphasis or intention around meeting to connect, and then
yeah,
an alcoholic, like a beer or a wine or whatever is
yeah.
is kind of a thing
This,
that may be included or may not, depending
yeah,
on whatever. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah. But yeah,
did you
it's a
feel
fine line.
any you had like the intention of going and not having a drink in this bar with a friend, and then did you feel a pressure to have a drink, or did you just
No, no,
decide that it
no.
wasn't?
Many times I haven't. Sorry,
Did you decide,
sorry.
yeah, it wasn't going to be a drinking session, so therefore you wouldn't be tempted to have more because there wouldn't be more? It's not that.
Yes, yes, for sure. Yeah, yeah. There's like one, and that's it. One.
Mm.
Maybe later on, maybe another one, but later on, like if we meet someone else, or maybe at some point, yeah, you. But it's not like so it doesn't. It's not a mind altering thing. It's just a little touch, little. When you have a little canapé or a little piece of something and you drink it and
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little sweet,
like a little,
like a
like.
little treat.
So there's not the intention of drinking to get drunk for sure. It's a decision to drink because you enjoy the taste of a beer, or it's refreshing, or it's a.
Yeah, it's refreshing or something. Yeah, but yeah, it is a fine line. Of course, there's different ways, but that's how I feel. That's how I feel, and I always felt it um, in my life in New Zealand. I ended up adapting to New Zealand,
Right.
which is which I'm not proud of, and that's why I had to stop because I wasn't enjoying anymore. I was just binge drinking.
Right. So you're saying
So
that.
I learned how to binge drink, but not a lot. But what I'm saying is that I will drink on my own 2, 3 beers nonstop, like without any sort of context, all right?
Well, any social environment, just you.
Yeah, social environment, and yeah. So so I adapted
You
it.
came to New Zealand to learn how to do that.
I,
In other words, let's talk about
no,
that.
I was
What
told.
happened?
I remember that one of the things that I remember the first times in New Zealand going out. I ended up with at some point I was with 2 pints of beers in my hands. Like, what is that? How did that happen? Oh no, there's one round and it's a second round and third round, and then you're accumulating beers that people are shouting and I know you can say no, but what I'm saying is that it's a different way. Yeah, it is a different way. Yeah, and
What?
I believe that yeah, there's a different way of communication as well. I'm not saying that this is best, this is better, this is worst at all. And
In your experience, when again, without being judgmental of the people that decide to use alcohol that way, um, why is that happening in New Zealand, do you think? Why have we, how did we get here?
well, I think it's still very opinionated today. Uh, but I really believe that it is it's exactly why we're talking here, because we want we want to, I don't know what we want, but we want to show that it is possible to have vulnerable conversations and conversations where we share things that are happening to us and some, but I believe that within the what I witness in the New Zealand culture, especially between men, that barrier doesn't break very easily,
I see.
and
Yeah.
so we need some. And yeah, I'm not saying that Hispanic men are more vulnerable, but there is a little bit of more awareness, a little bit more sharing. Um, and so there's no need to get so much out of yourself to share, right?
Mm, yeah.
Um, and there's more words in Spanish. We use more words. We talk more.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so if you talk more, you drink less.
What do you think what
That's
lessons can we learn here in New Zealand from how things are, the life that is being, how life is being conducted, shall we say, over in Spain? Or,
yeah. I'm not very sure if there is any learning. I think every society and every culture needs to have their own evolution and or their own pathway. There are some pros and cons on being the way you are also in terms of societies. Um, what we're comparing things is like, well, this particular aspect of society, right? That we are actually having an opinion with a very sort of limited experience because we don't know everything. I'm just only talking about my experience. So, but yeah, there is some. I think there is room in New Zealand for more self-expression, especially in men.
mm,
Uh, self-expression and sharing our having a little bit of more. vulnerability on the table. I mean, so for example, one of the things that happened in especially in Argentina, but always here and also here as well, is like tables in restaurants with men having dinner together. I haven't seen much of that in New Zealand. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but men going for dinner. Of course, in New Zealand, on the culture is dinner is replaced by going to the pub. All right, maybe. But yes, men, we sit on the table, we order meal, and we have a bottle of wine, and we talk over dinner, which is very, very normal. Um, do you see that as a difference?
Yeah.
What?
There's been times actually in the recent past that I've wanted to meet a friend, a male friend, for a dinner and connect. If we have a beer, then okay. But I think it was more about the opportunity to do something other than get drunk to see a male friend. And ever since I made the conscious decision to drink less and connect more,
Mm.
that's been a frustration for me. Yeah. And it hasn't always happened. Maybe there's a stigma around that, like a fear of perception, like, oh, I can't go and have dinner with my mate because someone might think that we're gays or we're together. Or you're right, you don't see that. You hardly ever see that. You might see two blokes having a coffee together, but go for dinner? No, definitely not. In fact, I can't remember the last time I've seen that. Would I want to do it? Yes. Am I gay? No. So what's the problem?
Yeah, and what does it mean that gay thing for men? What does it mean? No,
Yeah,
no, no,
I don't.
I'm not asking. I'm asking you to everybody. It's like, what is that thing about? Oh, might be gay. What? Yeah, it's like,
Maybe
yeah.
because it's just not done, and the only people that might do it are homosexual here in New Zealand because we just it's just not done enough. And again, this is a subject I don't really know a lot about. I'm only observing from my experience and certainly not wanting to be judgmental of or presumptuous about gay people or people that are inclined to see people as gay because they're two men having dinner. We're just exploring a topic here that I think is an important one because how does it feel to go and have dinner with a man in Spain? You're obviously
Oh, it's absolutely normal.
yeah, but what is this experience like when you walk away? Because I know what I experienced in New Zealand for many years of getting drunk with male friends in a bar or in a party or whatever. I sure we got silly and we had deep and meaningfuls, but I never really felt like there was a deeper connection there. Like a
Mm.
we kind of, do you ever know, like, did you ever notice, like, when you get drunk, you kind of like get really friendly with another man and you talk about stuff with them that you probably wouldn't normally talk about, and then you see them in the street the next day and it's a bit awkward and you're like, oh, hey.
I'm gonna say something that I figured out. Oh, something that I made it a little bit as a funny thing when I went out with Kiwi men to have drinks while I wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
And this is a certain, the first third of the conversation is about um, the trips they're doing, where are they doing, what's the business going. I got this trip plan. I came from this. So everybody's gone. The second third, it's about family and what are you doing, with in getting into how are your kids, how are you, and that starts. That's when you start a little bit like getting into the drunk situation,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the last third, and then so the second includes a little bit of humor, and the third one will some of them will come to me and say, Diego, no, I'm not, and it will come out. Something will start coming out like, oh, I'm not really that happy with this. Oh, I'm not really that happy with that. Or I wish I cannot. I'm not drinking, or I wish I'm not doing this. So, but it gets into the third one, and then the next day, when everything's gone, that third part gets deleted. um,
Oh,
it didn't exist.
yeah. That's uh that's a really interesting observation. So it's like three stages of the the typical man catch up. You
Mhm.
you start with alcohol and then you start about with all your achievements and you know objectives and
Yeah.
goals and very can we say surface level? Can we say that? I mean, it is kind of
Yeah, but more like manly things,
yeah, mainly things. I guess it's like
like conquering things or trophies or
yeah, so it's sort of like a uh
great marking the territory.
marking territory. Okay, yeah, cool, cool. Yeah, I'm with you. And then this and then
I'm exaggerating. It's not like that with friends, but I mean I'm just sort of
generalizing.
exaggerating.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned the word funny, like this is kind of almost like a comedy sketch. If you know, like the three rounds at the bar, you know, like the first round of beers, and then this is that, and this is this, and then the second round is like, okay, so we're starting to feel a little bit more loose. We can start to talk about our kids and how much of a pain in the ass they're. Our wife is driving us up the wall
Yeah.
a few jokes about that. We're all starting to sort of drop the guard a little bit. The alcohol starting to lubricate the senses, drop the inhibitions. The third round comes, and then we're really starting to kick things off. Uh, and then it kind of from there, 4 or 5 rounds, and we're starting to break the surface level and start to go a little bit deeper to what? What is that? Is that
Well, whatever will happen on that day. What happens sometimes to me when I'm sober is that um I could actually open up conversations that may dig a little bit deeper, and then I get a little bit of vulnerability from the from that situation, and yeah, and it's not that there is. I feel like, oh, I finally can get into someone else a little bit in a deeper way, but it's not that real, right? It's like it's been influenced by alcohol already or
okay?
whatever.
Sure.
So, but yeah, and then yeah, the next day,
But there's a truth there, no? Is there a truth?
there's a truth. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It comes with truth. It comes with
Comes
which
from another place, like,
yes, definitely. And there is there is a little bit of reality, there is a little bit of honesty.
and with that, there's a stronger connection between the two of you, even though one of you is under the influence of alcohol and one of you is sober. In that moment,
Yeah,
you find there's
yeah,
a different conversation, a different level of connection.
yes. That's how it looks like. It feels like a better connection, and then or a little bit deeper, and then yeah. But yeah.
And what do you think that feels like for the person who's being vulnerable, who's sharing, even though it's under the influence of alcohol? And how is it to receive that?
No, I always ask myself of that because seems like that behavior or that sort of opening doesn't there's no follow up, right? It just lasted that night. I was drunk. This is what happened.
Yeah, you
And then
mentioned that scene being deleted. Like that
yeah, and then
that didn't happen.
and then we go back to the achievements.
So it might be
To
like the next time you see them in the sober and the cold light of day, that never happened. But
no,
we
it's
go
like
back to
no,
stage one
we
again.
don't follow up. There's no follow up to that. We start with the we
And and
start with the
and to bring that back into contrast of our original starting point of the conversation around how things are done in Spain, or what you've been noticing in Spain is two men will catch up. They're not necessarily any alcohol. If there is, it's maybe one. It's certainly not the intention of the meeting. There is an intention of something else, right?
yeah.
So we have two men sitting in a restaurant sharing a meal together without alcohol or with very little alcohol.
Mhm.
How does that scene play out? Is it any different? Is there still the three stages, or what have you noticed?
No, it could go anywhere, but it doesn't necessarily has to be a vulnerable thing or but um I don't notice those steps. And so definitely
So you can
if
go
somebody
straight,
doesn't
you can go
yeah,
straight.
no, if somebody doesn't want to open up, won't open up, right? It doesn't
Sure.
really matter just how the person is. If somebody wants to open up, it will open up. But what I'm saying is that there's not a big fluctuation on behaviors because of the intoxication, right? So the person that you have in front of you doesn't change much.
The person can, so if you start the conversation with a person across the table from you and you say, "How are you?" If they want to share and say, I'm not happy, Diego, I'm struggling, they can do that from the beginning? Or
Yeah, but for example,
do they need a few beers to kind of get there?
no, but I remember I just came from 4 days in paradise in an island in the Mediterranean with four friends, my mate and two other friends from school. One lives in Paris and the other one came from Buenos Aires. And we all met there. There's been like a couple of them, I haven't seen them for 15, 20 years, all right? But it sounded like we met yesterday. And for example, when we talk, and one of my mates is very short, he doesn't share, but we were talking about that he doesn't share, and he will say, "No, no, you talk. You're not gonna you're not gonna get anything out of me." But yeah, and joking, but he was aware of that. He was saying it. We were
Right.
joking about it, and
Sure.
then at some point he opened up a little bit. But what I'm trying to say is that there is more. The if you're not sharing, there's conversation about you not being open, no wanting to share.
Okay.
Oh, you don't talk about the conversation. You don't talk about your things. Or and the other one makes a joke. Yeah, and it's so hard to take to. He talks about others, but he doesn't talk about you. Oh, okay, ha ha ha. And then and then he says, "No, I don't don't bother me. I don't talk about myself." Okay, and then and then he makes a joke like you that you open up, whatever. And then what I'm trying to say, everything is on the table when even though if you're not sharing it, if you're not sharing deep things.
What
So
I'm
everybody will have the role, I have the role that I probably a little bit more trying to be a little bit more deep, the other one, but it's all on the table, everybody knows.
Yeah. Okay. So,
And
so in that space, uh, you mentioned there were a couple of them were close friends. You have a history together. So you all feel, are you saying you all feel comfortable, most of you, apart from one or two of you,
yeah, no, we all
you can
feel comfortable
share
whatever
how you can share the
whatever-
deeper stuff and you don't necessarily need to be intoxicated to do that.
yeah, correct, yeah.
Because you have formed that type of relationship?
Well, it is culturally like that. Of course, I had a relationship with them, but there's been two of them. I haven't seen them for 20 years. So,
You had a lot to catch
and
up on.
yeah, and they were not like we were not like the best friends or anything. We knew we went to school together, but instantly there is that type of connection. And we spent 4 days, four guys in an apartment, and we were going for dinner, and we were going for lunch, and we were doing everything together. And yeah, and it was, and I know that people do that everywhere in the world. But what I'm saying is that there was no every single topic was actually talk about. Most of the topics of life we share about that. Some of the guys wanted to talk more about something or less, but there was an option to talk about those things. There was a moment that we talk about those things, talk about marriage, we talk about girlfriends, we talk about women, we talk about sexuality, we talk about work, we talk about um, health, we talk about addictions, we talk about all sort of things. We talk about fears, and some of us will go a little bit deeper than others. Some others will go a little bit on the surface, but I mean the topic was there, it was available. Maybe it's my group of friends and no one else does it, but I'm not very sure it works like that.
I, when you say that word available, I can talk about a very recent experience where I have felt that availability, and I haven't known you for 20 years, Diego. In fact, I don't even think I'd known you longer than a year. We've had a handful of conversations, yet before we started recording this podcast, you asked me how I was, and I felt very comfortable to share with you. I haven't been okay, Diego. I have been feeling a little bit depressed, and I shared my experience around that with you. Now, I haven't had 10 beers this morning. I've had five. That was a joke. Um, I haven't had any beers. I've had coffee, maybe too much. The point is that I feel comfortable to share that with you. And I know already how valuable that is to me. I haven't fully understand it. Haven't fully understood or processed the value of that because that will take time. But in that moment, I felt free. I didn't feel judged. I felt connected. And I felt true to myself and true to our relationship. And why I'm telling you this and why I'm mentioning it now on the podcast is because I believe it segues really nicely to what we were just talking about. Is there a desire for most men here, and New Zealand men as well, to get straight to that third stage? Sure, it seems to be that stage 1 and 2 and drinking and whatever else, but they're wanting to get there. And how can we invite more of that into spaces for men here in New Zealand? And if that's ultimately what they're needing, they're just going about it a different way. I have learned through making a decision that I wanted to do life differently with less alcohol. I don't judge others that use alcohol. I can be around people that use a lot of alcohol. I can still have a good time. Can there be opportunities for men to experience what it's like to have these sort of conversations more often? It doesn't always have to look like candlelight dinner in Barcelona, but is it possible? And what can you offer to that part of the conversation?
I got a question for you, Lloyd. So how does it feel, the possibility of being able to share what you share with me, which I'm very honored and that you share that personal situation or that personal feeling with me. But what does it do when you share? What does it do to you? Because I want to try to get to the point of why it's important to share. What is the why do we need to share? What are we campaigning to share? I know a little bit of the answer, but I would like to ask you what's the added value to share or to being able to be listened to?
Well, I don't feel that I have to lie.
Mm. Oh, that's a nice answer.
I don't have to say, I'm okay. How are you? When inside I haven't been okay. So who am I lying to? If I lie and say I'm okay, I'm only really being dishonest with myself, and I'm not sure if that feels okay for me anymore. Maybe in the past, I thought that that was the way that it had to be, that we weren't allowed to speak more openly about what's really going on for us, particularly with other men. So when you ask me how I am, I feel that I can be honest with you, and that feels freeing. I feel lighter. I feel more connected to myself and connected to the relationship that we have, and that the only actually for a long time I think I didn't answer that question with the truth because I was afraid of what the other person would think of me. But actually I think that's all in our heads too. Because at the end of the day, all of us want to be well for the other person, right?
Thanks for tuning in to What No One Told Us. We hope this episode offers something real, something useful, maybe even something that helped you feel a little less alone. If today's chat stirred anything in you, or if you just want to connect, both Lloyd and Diego are here. Their contact details are in the episode notes. And don't forget, this was just part 1. Part 2 drops next week. You won't want to miss it. Until then, take care of yourself and each other.